Ate another 10, reviewing another 10. Let's do this shit. I almost feel bad for reviewing the Brick and Forge Taproom because I knew exactly what it would be like before I tried them, and all of my predictions were exactly right. See, I'm a pretty well-traveled guy, and years ago, I made the discovery that if you pull up local restaurant reviews and sort by rating, what you will find at the very top, no matter what town you're in, are places just like this. All the same and equally shit. In the same way that Chili's, TGI Fridays, and Applebee's are all essentially the same, so are these places. Craft beers, burgers, pizzas, and for some reason, some sort of adult mac and cheese. And for whatever reason, the decor of these establishments all incorporate a lot of brick, which, given the name Brick and Forge, saved me the trouble of speculating, and it was just as aggressively bland and overpriced as I knew it would be. You see, the thing about places like these is that while they want to appear as more genuine and organic than a TGI Fridays, the effort goes into appearance, not the actual food. Hiring a professional food photographer doesn't make your frozen burger patty any higher quality. You're just paying a fresh patty price for their bullshit. And I see right through all of it, Brick and Forge. 2 out of 10. The Pacific Northwest is a nightmarish shithole, but one of the few things I missed from that hellscape is a good poke bowl. But instead of paying obscene fees for fish and rice, you get a substantial portion of it in a bowl to enjoy. So I was overjoyed to learn that a poke bowl spot had opened in Conway. Then I went there, and words cannot express my immeasurable disappointment. Okay, so you know how I said that a poke bowl is basically a bowl of sushi ingredients? That includes it being cold. I think we can all agree that the decision to eat raw fish hinges on it not being room temperature, or worse, alarmingly warm. So for example, when you make a fresh batch of hot rice, put raw fish on it, and give it to me, the temperature will become disturbing when I actually eat it. The other thing about poke bowls is that the fish is typically cut into cubes, not minced or shredded, because although this is common in sushi rolls, when shredded raw fish is spread out, it begins to resemble cat food, and coupled with the hot rice raising the temperature of the fish to room temperature, you have an experience that is disturbing to the point of it being horrifying. 2 out of 10. For our 800th Mexican restaurant to review in Conway, we went to Portal del Gusto, a new spot that just opened up along the highway towards Little Rock. And to be honest, it was a refreshing change of pace. Portal del Gusto leans a little more Mex than it does Tex-Mex, and our meal started with them bringing us 2 complimentary cups of a tasty ham hock and bean soup. Okay, now here's the deal. You remember that old Jim Gaffigan bit about how Mexican food is essentially meat, cheese, beans, and tortillas? Well, it turns out it isn't if you don't only order those things. I don't know why torta sandwiches aren't more popular than they are, but hot damn, they are tasty. The bread is light and cakey and a perfect vessel for chili seasoned roasted meats and herbaceous tart salsas. And it turns out you don't have to have half your meal fall onto the plate like you do with tacos. Portal del Gusto was a breath of fresh air in a sea of identical Tex-Mex. 7 out of 10. Speaking of run-of-the-mill Tex-Mex, Cactus Jack's is a run-of-the-mill Tex-Mex spot that is so forgettable it took several minutes of intense Google research to even remember going there. It is basic, but the impression I got is that it's more of a place to go get blackout drunk on absurdly sized margaritas than a serious food destination. Charred bits of unidentifiable protein and white cheese sauce. If you need it, it's there to enjoy along with your 48-ounce hyper blue curacao laced hangover inducer. 5 out of 10. A while back I played in a poker tournament and won some gift cards to local restaurants, which is how we ended up at Lost 40 Brewing. It's a microbrewery, so just as with Brick and Forge, my expectations were not high. Getting food from a microbrewery is like hiring a stripper to represent you in court, in that no one knows what they're doing and you will pay the consequences. But the meal got off to a good start with an order of some pretty damn good wings. But like a flight on the Hindenburg, things quickly turned ugly. Our pizza arrived, and I am not even fucking joking when I say this is the worst pizza I have ever had. Yes, worse than Elio's, worse than Bagel Bites, worse than fucking Lunchable pizzas. There was a time when the only thing I could afford to eat was the $5 frozen pizza from 7-Eleven that most vagrant junkies wouldn't even touch. None of these were as bad as this pizza from Lost 40 Brewing. Good wings though, 3 out of 10. Like a degenerate junkie pimping themselves out for another fix, I am an absolute whore for coffee. Now, that's an ironic metaphor because around Arkansas, there's a perfectly respectable Christian organization that's doing coffee right. Shadrach's Roasting Company is a chain of coffee stands like no other. Because when you roll up to one of their stands looking for that afternoon kick and order yourself a large caffeinated drink, they turn around and hit you with this. A fucking iced latte the size of a paint bucket. I don't even know this place by its name. I had to look it up because we refer to it as bucket coffee. And no, it isn't a tall, cold cup of mostly milk. Their espresso hits hard, every sip like a moderate cattle prod to the testicles. And God bless you for that, Shadrach's. 8 out of 10. So, you know those people that think that everyone should be making $30 an hour, regardless of whether or not what they do has that much or any value? You know, the sort of person who coincidentally works just that sort of job and lacks even a basic understanding of how the world functions, but talks confidently like they have an advanced degree in market economics? Well, if that person were a restaurant, it would be Root Cafe, a sit-down brunch restaurant where you do most of the work that the server would, but you're still expected to tip the staff like they actually exist and help you. Order a coffee? Get it yourself. Need silverware? Get it yourself. 20% tip please, and here's a bus tub so you can clear your own fucking plates when you're done, you fucking animal. Now, you'd think they must be serving a tit-cracking lunch for their trouble, but they don't. They make Instagram food, meaning it looks good enough to snap a pic of you and the girls enjoying brunch, but it tastes like nothing. I got a big fat stack of blueberry pancakes, coated them with butter and syrup, and tasted nothing but butter and syrup. The pancakes may as well have been made of Play-Doh. The wife got a biscuit sandwich coated in sausage gravy that may as well have been made of plaster of Paris or animal spunk. Totally inoffensive food, but considering the price and that I had to literally be our own waiter, 1 out of 10. I'll cut to the chase. Does Jersey Mike's hoagies and cheesesteaks hold a candle to what you would get in Philadelphia, the surrounding counties, or even Jersey? No. But for the South, it's as good as gold. Decent bread, fresh cold cuts, oil and vin. It's all there, and comparing them to alternatives like Subway or Quiznos is like comparing them to your parents alive versus your parents dead. 7 out of 10. Sometimes an establishment can't be judged by your first visit. Sometimes you have to figure out where the bright spots on the menu are. And that is the case with Andy's Frozen Custard, an ice cream chain restaurant I'd never heard of, but with more than 100 locations in 15 US states. You see, the first time I went to Andy's, I got something called a concrete, which is to a milkshake what crack is to cocaine. And the concrete came with chocolate, espresso, and about 32 other ingredients that may have included crack cocaine. It was too much. It was like going on a first date wearing your full S&M getup. But with it being summer and with another milkshake craving coming over the horizon, I went back and opted for something simpler, a black and white malt. And damn, did it ever hit the spot. It tasted like stepping back in time, like the first time you had an ice cream or put on your full S&M getup. 7 out of 10. Now, this is a style of restaurant that's still new to me, so bear with me, but apparently, particularly in the South, there are places that I'm going to call a plate lunch diner. It's cafeteria-style dining, which shouldn't seem all that strange to me, since that's basically like if a buffet was run by authoritarians, where you go and choose from a selection of already made dishes and be on your way. A lot of soul food restaurants are structured like this, so my expectations were high when we went to Holly's Country Cooking. But I'm here to report that, it was pretty hit or miss. Southern-style fried chicken is not something that gets better when it's sitting around in a steam tray. With meatloaf, it doesn't matter all that much, so that was fine. Mac and cheese was pretty good, but the hash brown casserole was an abomination compared to, say, the Cracker Barrel. The cherry on top was that the cherry cobbler was perfectly middle of the road, with a decent crumble, but the cherries were too sweet. Not bad, but below my expectations for what should be a classic southern dessert. Overall, okay to not bad, not wowing me despite multiple locals telling me it's the place to be. 5 out of 10. That'll do it for this time. I'll review another 10 when I eat another 10, and I'll see you when I see you.